Hi there, everyone. How are you? I hope everyone's doing good. My name is Antonia Tamburello, and I have 7 years experience as a CPS worker. Okay, so I decided to add on. I have a few other videos out there for new social workers coming into the field. And this one is about the tasks for family services CPS worker. Okay, so that's if when you get hired as a CPS worker, if somewhere down the road you decide you want to work in the family services unit, I put a presentation here together that will give you an idea about what that looks like. Okay, so let's move along here. Okay, so here with the introduction. Explain here that the PowerPoint is going to outline the tasks of the Family Services Unit CPS worker. Okay. Okay, so in this slide, reviewing case family. Okay, so I have here evaluate family face-to-face in the home, research past and present history of this family, maintain confidentiality at all times, respect, verify household members, and progress notes documentations. All right, so when you're reviewing the case family, actually before you even go into the home, you want to do a little bit extra research to see if there's any past history with this family, or is this, a new case. That's very important, because then this will be a deciding factor to help you in your assessment, because in this case, looking at the prior and the current, you'll get a view about if this family is having the same kind of behavioral issues that you have to figure out what to do with preventative services. Okay, so that becomes really very important. Okay, so let's see. And with confidentiality, goes without saying, you have to be careful with that, because it's against the law actually to break that confidentiality. It's, their life is private. You have to be careful with those kind of records. You can't be running around talking about this with your friends and family or on social media, and this is just between you and the family and the agency. That's it. And you always want to be respectful when you're working with the families, and with your coworkers. You always want to demonstrate that. It's so very important, because the agency is going to expect it, and they rate you periodically, and this is something that will come up. You always want to verify the household members. You want to make sure that you're checking everything, their credentials, asking for IDs when you go into the home. It's very important to do that, because anybody could say that they're Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, or I'm Mary, and you're Jane, and whatever. You have to be careful with things like that, because someone could be saying yes to these names, but maybe that's not who they are. Just, just those things do happen. And then with the documentation, if you're not documenting, it never happened. You have to always remember that. You'll hear that over and over and over again, like a broken record. If You did not document it. It did not happen. All right, so we'll move along to the next slide. Okay, so we have counsel and awareness. So counsel family members, discussions on needs and goals, placements, resources, assessing for safety. So basically here, what we're talking about when you're counseling the family members and awareness, we're talking about, does the family even know, and are they aware? Do they understand why they have an ACS case? Do they understand? And this is where you come in, where you need to work with these family members and counsel them and make them understand what's going on. And you want to discuss, like when you're finding out what, whatever the scenario is in your assessment, then you want to work on that plan where you're working on the, what they need, their goals, what they need to work on. Those are discussions you'll have with them. You want to include them in that, you want them to participate in that. And where we're talking about placements and resources are resources that we're going to find for the family in case they need anything. And when it comes to placement, that could even be like if you're removing children, or you have to place them in a foster home because of whatever's going on in this assessment, and in your case, that's what that means. Then we have assessing for safety. You're always going to be assessing for safety periodically. Every time you walk into the home for that visitation, you are assessing for safety, and it should always be a part of your documentation. Okay, so we want to remember that. Okay, so we have court for our next slide. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have testifying, interviewing, we have recommendations, appearance, punctual, reports submitted to the legal team. So everything about court. Testifying. You're always going to wind up in your cases with testifying. The judge will ask you some questions. There'll be questions about who you interviewed. There'll be questions about recommendations, and judge will have to make decisions to help on that. And what I mean by appearance here is that it's how you appear in court. I mean, you don't want to go in ripped jeans and a hoodie, let's say. You should be presentable in front of the court, in front of the judge. I mean, you don't have to wear a suit, but it could, you could be casual dress, nice pair of trousers, nice pants, sweater or blouse. If you want to wear a suit, you can. I mean, I've done it. Or nice pants outfit or dresses, or just being presentable. You want to have presentable clothing. You don't want to have body parts all showing, meaning like inappropriately. You don't want something that's not appropriate. Okay, so let's see. Punctual. You always want to be on time, and I've seen a lot of that in case units where they're not on time, and the judge really gets very upset, and sometimes they'll even postpone the case, and she'll give another date, and you really don't want to go through that. That's not a good thing. You just cannot waste the judge's time. It's bad. It really is. You don't want to do that. Okay, and report submitted to the legal team. So, I mean, of course, before you go to court, there has to be a report that you're going to write about the family, and what the judge is going to be expecting to see is going to be in your court report. And there's always that meeting with the legal team, because eventually this court report is going to go to the legal team before you get into court. Okay, because they have to disperse that and give copies to the other attorneys that will be appearing in court for other family members. That's, so it's really very important to be very timely with this. Okay, we want to be on time. Okay, so in our next slide here, we have the extension court reports. Okay, so we have court report extensions of cases, outline the issues with the legal team. So let's stop right there and talk about this. So a court report extension of a case is like, let's say you get to a point where this case is going to be closing, but you can't because you see that there's still some issues going on. So in this instant here, you're going to have a court extension, and you need a report to do that. Okay. Now, and in this report, you have to outline the issues with the legal team, and you're going to have a meeting with them. See, and you want to make sure it's consistent in documentation throughout the engagement of this case about the family, because that's what the judge is going to look like. I mean, you just can't have something out of the ordinary that makes it look like it's really a new case, because then that means you have to call it in as a new case. Okay, but if this is an extension of what's already going on and it hasn't resolved yet, even with some kind of services and preventative services in the house, so you have to extend it, because it's basically the same scenario that's continuing, and it didn't change. This family did not change. Okay, and then we have recommendations align with how the family is functioning at the present time, and we have meeting with the legal team to be sure all legal measures have been satisfied. That's important. So you have to meet with the legal team and have the discussion, have your report ready. You have to talk about it. They have to see everything, because they have to check to see if it's legal to even have the extension. Okay, that's important. You just can't walk into court and blindly and asking the court for the extension. You can't do that. Okay, so there's a process. It's very important to follow that. Okay, so here we have the next slide here, the service plan. Okay, so what do I have here? I have revised plans as needed. Meeting with consultants is necessary, which is a medical team, psychiatric team, and or any other team. And we have update child safety reviews regularly. So what I mean by meeting with consultants as necessary, these consultants are actually already a part of the agency. You just need to make an appointment with them, and you can have your discussion on any case that you have to revise a plan. So agencies have a medical team of consultants. They have a psychiatric team for any mental health issues. And if there's any other team that needs to be brought in, that may be a different story, and they can do that. Or you might go to another place, like let's say it has to do with addictions. And if, let's say, the agency doesn't have someone there all the time that's part of the consultant team, then you might be going out of the agency to make that appointment with one of the contract companies that they work with. And you'll sit and have your discussion about the consultation. You'll have a consultation about this to see where you're going to go. And updating the child safety reviews are always a regular thing that you always want to stay on top of. Very important to stay on top of the safety and all your documentations and for every visit. Okay, let's see here. I will go to the next. And our last slide here is investigations. So we have investigate allegations within the 24 hours, home visits in 48 hours or 24 hours if the child is in immediate danger. And then we have everyone in the household must be interviewed. Okay, very important. So when an allegation comes in from the applications department on one of your cases, you want to check it out in 24 hours. And a home visit could be in 48 hours, but 24 hours if you're reading something in this allegation that points to immediate danger, because it's obviously there's going to have to be an immediate intervention. You might have to even have a removal here in this story at this point. And you want to make sure that every single person in that household, even if the person is not family, if they're in that house, they're going to be interviewed, because obviously they're a part of something that's going on there. Okay, so that's important to remember. And that's our last slide. And basically, I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view of exactly what kind of tasks that you will actually be involved in working in a family services unit. I mean, that's different from PD. Usually PD, in a PD case, they usually close those cases, or they'll, if it's going to be extended, usually within the 60 days, these cases are closed. But why we have a family services unit is because, let's say that PD unit cannot close, they can't close it for whatever the reason is, it needs an extension because of whatever's going on in that case that needs it. It goes to a family services unit, because this is a unit that's going to continue to monitor the case a little longer to see, when this is going to get resolved, or, because we want to make sure the child or the children in that household they are all safe. So that's what happens. In these cases, in family services, you will see sometimes you can hold on to a case for even 3 years. I remember having a case that lasted even 4 years. Yeah, could even go that long. And sometimes we close them and then we see them back again. And it starts all over again in the PD department. And there are some families that might have a lot of cases. You'll find those prior cases in the computer that you can investigate to see if it's the same allegation. Did they learn anything from the first time it happened? Did they change their behaviors, or what's going on here? So these are the things that I wanted to bring to your attention. So just in case like everybody starts out in PD, Total Investigative Unit, but you could always ask to be transferred after of course, you have to go through a whole probation period. You have to be there for, 18 months or more. And, maybe you might want to work in family services. Some people love just continuing in PD units, but, some people like to experience a different kind of style of social work, which is family services. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to give you an idea of what that unit is like, in case maybe you might want to work as a family services social worker. Okay, so thank you so much for viewing this video, and I hope that it was helpful. You might, who knows, someday might want to transfer into a family services unit. Maybe it's something that you might want to do. Okay, so look in the future for more videos. I will come up with more ideas about the world of social work, of the CPS, see what, like give you an idea about everything so that you could figure out if it's something that you want to do. You never know. It happens. I mean, I met people while I was working as a CPS that wished that they, never even attended the academy. Like, it would be like, oh boy, what did I get myself into? Or there was some people that they went through the academy and enjoyed everything, but then when they were actually doing the work of being in the field, they didn't like it. They didn't want to do this anymore. But I continued. I really did like it. I wanted to help. I wanted to help the children and families. So I continued for 7 years. It's not for everybody. I mean, so I figured, you know what? Let me continue with these videos because maybe someone needs to hear all this. It's just that I am a person that likes helping people. It resonates with me. It's not for everyone. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Have a good evening.